Your drinking water system is made up of many assets, from pipes and pumps to meters and tanks. It costs money to construct, install, operate, maintain, repair, remove, and replace these assets. A lot of money. Most likely, you don't have all the money you need to do everything that should be done within your water system. So, you should make smart choices about where you spend the money you do have available. Asset management can help with making these smart decisions. Asset management helps you determine how, where, and when to spend your limited money. It's about maintaining a desired level of service. That is, what you want to provide to your customers at the lowest appropriate lifecycle cost. So what does lifecycle cost mean? It's actually a pretty simple concept. It means the total cost of ownership of an asset, the purchase price, the cost of operating and maintaining it, refurbishments, and finally, disposal. But figuring out lifecycle cost can get tricky. Sometimes assets that are cheaper to buy end up costing more over time, especially if the asset uses energy. Here's an example. Let's imagine you're buying a new pump. There are lots of options out there. All pumps of the appropriate size and power seem to do the same job, which is pump water. So why not just buy the cheapest one and save money for something else? Because what you really want to be thinking about is the cost of moving water over a period of time. A pump costs something to purchase. Then there's the cost of installing it, the average cost of maintaining it each year, the average cost of the energy needed to power it each year, the average cost of repairing it each year, and the cost of removing it at the end of its life. If the pump lasts for 20 years, those costs look something like... Whew! That seems like a lot. What if we go with a less expensive pump? Can we get our costs down? Let's see. So this pump costs less to purchase, and then there's the cost of installing, maintaining. The average annual energy cost to operate it is higher because it's less efficient, and then you factor in repairs and removing it. If the cheaper pump lasts for 20 years, those costs look something like... So the less expensive pump actually costs us more over time, and that has an impact on the entire system. There will be less money for other system needs. In fact, most of the life cycle cost of a motor or pump is the energy to power it, even though the tendency is to purchase based on upfront price. Not only will the more efficient asset often cost less in the long run, but lower energy use means lower heat and therefore often longer life. So, it's worth taking the time to pick a pump or other asset that will cost you the least over its life, even if it costs more upfront. So when purchasing an asset, it's wise to think about the long term. Paying attention to total cost of ownership helps systems avoid unnecessary expenses in the future and frees up money for other priorities.
So what I'm going to do first is to define the two different types of costing. Target costing, in short terms, is to define the sales price not by the production cost, but rather based upon the price that the customer attributes to the product. So basically what that means is the company would do some research in the field and see what customers are willing to pay for products similar to theirs, and then with that knowledge, as well as things that they can improve on or change on the products that they're wishing to produce, they determine a price that they'd like to sell it at, and then they try to produce a product at that price plus their desired profits. One part of target costing is value engineering, and value engineering is a process where you determine if the product is being produced at its lowest possible price. This is usually implemented when 20% of the prices have been incurred. Kaizen Costing is a Japanese costing method. It is focused on continuous improvement, and it is implemented at every stage of production. It is very important to have all employees completely invested in order for this to work. At every stage of production, the employee has to try and think of small improvements that can be made to try and make the product better and also cheaper. So Kaizen Costing is really focused on small gains rather than large leaps. The benefits to these two different types of costing is obviously the reduction of costs, which will lead to higher profits, which will lead to higher customer satisfaction. So while you're trying to improve all the time, you're obviously going to have better products. And if you're doing the target costing, you are going to have a predetermined price and be able to, if you achieve your goals, you'll be able to be very competitive in the marketplace. Some risks are some potential drop in quality. If you are doing target costing, you can be so focused on the selling price that you calculated that you may be willing to cut some corners to get there, and that will result in a drop in quality. And with Kaizen costing, a risk is there's no goal to strive for, which can result in a low morale around the workplace. With never having a goal to achieve and always striving for better, it makes it very tough to stay motivated. My conclusion would be to combine the two costing methods into a single hybrid. This would almost eliminate all your risks. With target costing, the risk was the potential drop in quality, and with Kaizen, it would get from target costing and have that selling price. You have the goal, and then to not have a drop in quality, Kaizen method can be implemented. So the continuous improvement and reduction in cost would help the quality drop.